Let's do some business first. Today's main Dish segment is presented by Dish. Switch to Dish to get every major Division I college football game. Dish tuned into you. To learn more, call 1-844-CALL-DISH or go to dish.com. Let me just explain what's going on here. We have our returning champions, Taylor, Zach, and Isaac. First of all, why do we always get banned fractions? Where's LeBron? He's not here?
Not LeBron. We just, ever since he moved to L.A., we're not friends.
So here's the thing. So I just sat down with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
And we, for the past half hour or so, have just been like shouting out songs about science or dealing with science. And your new album is called
String Theory.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes. Science brings
We
us
are
together.
masters of theoretical physics.
Science, man.
Which, by the way, that would probably be an awesome conversation.
See, our equation is E equals MMMC squared.
We just came
That was
in.
like a shrug.
I
and a-
really wish that someone would have actually done that title of an article,
Yeah.
because that would actually mean they were paying attention.
Well, no. So this project is we're hearing part of it. It's with a symphony orchestra. It's a double album, and like String Theory. Obviously, we're a band. We're not really talking about science, but the kind of pun element of like having symphony, and then the whole record is really a story. Like we picked the songs all based on lyrics, and so in a way, it's our explanation of how our universe works as a band, like why we do what we do, and sort of a little bit of our own life story built into this show.
You know what though? It's not a complete departure because the whole rap it is it's orchestration, but there's guitar in it. It's still a quote unquote rock record.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I mean, I guess the obvious question is, I mean, first of all, two things. When you listen to it, like I listened to it the other night, and my thing was I was just going to listen to it, in the background and do other things, while I was just so I was familiar with it. But I found myself, I was actually like, no, I stopped and I was actually paying attention to everything because it's so great.
Thank you.
Not to kiss ass, but it's really good.
okay.
But
Keep going.
But my question is
I
this.
showered this morning.
Yeah. Noted. But my question is this. Two things. First of all, when you hear things the way they are with the orchestrations, it illustrates how sophisticated the songs actually are.
Right.
Right? But I'm curious as to what song went through the most sort of like interesting metamorphosis. Like when you finally finished it, you sat down and listened, was like, holy smokes.
Yeah. Well, there's several. I mean, one thing is, so when you're listening to the project, so it does have old songs and new songs, and it has songs written just for the record, and then the whole thing is one new song, really. It's really like a 90-minute song, because it was composed with David Campbell, who is an Oscar winner and a great collaborator, and so the actual building of the symphony charts, we worked with him and designed it all. Wrote it all, but so it's almost like verse, chorus, second chorus, verse, bridge, second bridge, verse, chorus. It's like one huge
every
song structure, and we used songs like sections almost. And so you had songs like "No Rest for the Weary," which is towards the end of the set, which really feels like it's going to be hard to play that song without the symphony because it now has this whole musical hook that whenever the chorus comes in, we're like, all right, and then there's this. It's not there, And then there's songs that were super deep cuts on records that found their way into the show that were almost as if they'd been unreleased to a lot of fans because they weren't.
Well, and actually, No Rest for the Weary is a good example.
Yeah, there's several songs we do fan club EP every year, and so this song was mined from an EP we released just to our members. Yeah. But then songs like there's a song called Tragic Symphony that transitions directly into a song called Gotta Hold on Me, and you get this Latin flair come in, and the songs completely weave together, and there's no stopping, and it makes a gear shift. And so those two songs, for instance, like I remember when we worked on that arrangement. This is it, yeah.
La música de los HANSON.
Yeah. It's just got a little... You hear this kind of...
It's really fun to hear the symphony do that too, because like the expectation is this sort of classical and very German sounding, very tight.
It was all written in Vienna.
Yeah, exactly.
Very moody.
And when the brass in the back of the section's come in, like it's like, they do this too. Like we're not the
one
only.
One of my favorite songs on the record is actually Siren Calling, although in some ways it didn't evolve as much from the kind of structural sense, but the whole song is the orchestra. That's it. The only thing we play are drums. or percussion stuff. Because
well, and you also sing though, and I have to say,
there's that.
But your vocals almost brought me to tears. I mean, I think because of the strings already stirring the emotions, but we came in with the the version of and I wrote to Matt last night, and I was like, this totally is bringing me to tears. I mean, not only are your vocals so great, but I think they're buoying the lyrics, which not many people always thought about the lyrics to Mbop. But I mean, I just have to say, you have so many relationships in this life, only one or two will last. Those are the first lyrics, and they're more poignant than ever.
Right.
Did you think about that while you, not just Mbop, but throughout the symphony, that the lyrics meant something different with a symphonic background?
Yeah, the short answer is completely.
Well, actually, the whole show is built around the lyrics.
So
of
talking about the
song.
show, when we decided we wanted to do something with symphonies, then we went, wait, what are we doing with symphonies? Right? Like, this is a great idea. Every band on their bucket list since Metallica did S&M has gone like, that's a great idea.
Well, or even since like things like "You Can't Always Get What You Want" by the Rolling Stones, where you're infusing some kind of classical element into rock and roll, even though that was a choir primarily.
It took a lot of band conversations going like, do we do like a greatest hits? Do we do like songs that already lend themselves to this, where they have string parts or synth stuff in it? And when we settled on the idea of actually go like, let's tell a story, the lyrics, it was just like, all we're going to look at is the lyrics. All we're going to look at is lyrics. And that's why Mbop is in the show, because
it actually was
like
not
the
really
fourth song in the set. Because
it's actually contextually related to when the song was written and why it was written in a lot of ways.
But
because
it sets the stage. It talks about relationships. It talks about that many things will come and go in your life, and then as you continue through the whole album, like that is already set the sort of the gauntlet out for what you're going to experience in the rest of the show by putting Mbop, this song that's about sort of like find it, and it has this sort of hope and this it's a little bit of irony to the chorus, because it's so uplifting in a context of like most of life is just going to be come and go.
The thing about the chorus as it goes is when you hit the chorus, because we deliberately kept it more campfire. I mean, literally. I mean, it's
a campfire
us, an
song.
Acoustic guitar,
It was just
tambourine, shaker, and voices, and that's all that we're doing. And then it's the symphony, and we were deliberately drawing out some of the melancholy qualities of the lyric on purpose in the arrangement, because we wanted to make sure that the song had a crescendo when it went into the chorus, but that it brought itself also back to the center of where the song emotionally was coming from when we were writing it. And so you hit that chorus, and then that big brass riff, bop, rap. And it always gets me. I love the juxtaposition, because it makes it even more dramatic than it actually was even in the original recording.
Yeah.
So.
And I hope what people feel too when they listen to it. I know we've seen this, we've been playing it as a concert, but like we're not trying to change anything about the songs that you know. It's really that you're trying to give them a different kind of context as you tell this different story, right? You're going like, well, this is Mbop. Like, we want to keep all that levity that people have loved and felt as a great summer sort of iconic song from a period, but you're adding in something that people never knew was there. You're kind of like I said, drawing something out that's always been there, but is now kind of in the spotlight.
How could a song when you were in your your teens and tweens, the lyrics now you're in your 30s, they mean something. Like when I read this, and now it says, and when you get old and start losing your hair, can you tell me who you will still care? First of all, they all have fantastic hair. But
screw you guys.
But it's weird to think that you were 12 when you were singing that, and now it's come full circle, and the song. It really, look, you guys know that I go way back with you, but when I heard this song, this version of it, I could have been written yesterday.
Right. That's awesome. We love that.
I love that.
It's really cool to see people come up after these shows and talk about that kind of experience, songs that they loved or songs they didn't, like, I didn't like this song that much, but I realized suddenly it means something different to me 5 or 10 or 15 years
also,
later.
For the just for people that aren't aware, we're talking about the record. It's also a show, and we're doing this whole thing live, and we're taking this.
And the show is the record. The record is the show.
It's the first time we've done that really with a project where
concept record, really.
you know you're gonna, because it's charted. It's not like, hey, throw to the verse, the longer solo.
Hey, violin, do an ad-lib
So
solo.
you're going to have to play it exactly as it was created. But one of the things that's really interesting about that is, you get to, you usually don't make a record and going to go play the record top to bottom in city after city, right?
Wait,
you usually change it up in a show. You have an album, and then it gets sort of integrated into a larger concert that you're doing as a band. In this case, we're showing up, hey, good to see you, welcome, this is String Theory, and you play the record. And it's interesting because it continues to reiterate, like, did what we set out to do actually happen? Did we achieve it? Because you can see, you watch the audience,
You see if it
and you
works.
see, you're like, are they? Because we start off, the first 2 songs are on the record are 2 unknown songs, one that was brand new and one that was from the sort of
On the brand new one's a ballad.
yeah, and the first one's and so but then Bop's the 4th song in the show, and then it goes down, and so you take people. We're really asking people to listen, and of course we've had an amazing fan base for a long time, which we we're grateful for, but we're still, even to a hardcore fan, you're really saying, sit down, pretend like you're listening to your favorite record, and just let the music sort of like take you there. But it is the lyrics that is the through point, because there's a ton of songs that could have been quote on the record based on, they used to have strings, or they'd be really beautiful, or they had great melodies.
Or this is somebody's favorite song.
It's somebody's favorite song. But there's only about 7 or 8 songs that are, of the 23 that are like
records.
Yeah, these are absolutely like, everybody's going to know these. And so it really tested, do we have is there a musical movement happening? Like, are we taking people somewhere?
Can I mention what really grabbed me? Chasing Down My Dreams,
Yeah.
which the original has that sort of big open sky. I was
Americana.
Gonna say, I didn't want to say that because that's like
It's okay.
so overused.
We like America.
That sort of romanticized Americana thing, and it works perfectly. In fact, you should have done it this way in the first place.
Well, no,
Yeah,
we found ourselves
if we just had a
feeling that way
time machine, then
Well, we found ourselves feeling that way about a lot of songs. Like, I mean, I agree. The song "Chasing Down My Dreams," which was originally on a fan club EP, which
we call this the Beef That's What's for Dinner intro.
yes.
Well, one of my favorite things, we talk about how
No, it's like very like Western.
the story of the show, right, is about a boy who's sort of wants to do something that other people perceive as impossible, right? As and part of that is our own story, right? Our own life story is being young and looking out at the world and going, we're going to be musicians, and
But it's
kind of going,
everybody in
maybe
some
not.
sense.
You know, maybe
you're
you'll
trying
be
to
something-
Eclipse. Play Reaching for the Sky.
Yeah, and one thing that's cool about that song is, for me, putting it as the second song. What is that? Sorry, 5th song, 6th song in the show.
Chasing Down My Dreams, yeah.
Like, not only does it work for this message of like, I'm going to try and do this thing that no one understands, but it also, the lyrics in that song also talk about like bands and people that influenced us a lot.
Leaving Omaha with
Like,
my great guitar.
Talking about
Counting Crows.
Counting Crows. At that point in our
very
lives,
favorite.
when we were going out to LA to make our first big record, we were listening
Those
to
records were
like
breaking, yeah.
bands like Counting Crows, and that was like, that's in the show in this little way, talking about Elvis, talking about like, and so
And also talking about the fact that Umbop is written about what we're going through, trying to make make that dream come true, and then it's followed by chasing the dream.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Because that's actually contextually accurate. We're writing this song as kids, going, "Wow, we got to decide to do this music thing, and we're going to lose some friends along the way. We're going to lose some stuff along the way, and we feel it. It's palpable." And then you go
knew
and
even
you chase
then?
the dreams. Oh, absolutely.
Really?
That's what the song is about.
But that sounds more negative. I think.
Well, no, I mean, it's just
I
true.
think when we were, when we were young and realizing that, it was sort of like, not, I'm afraid I'm going to lose some friends. It's like, this is important, this is important, this is important,
And these people don't
that's
get it.
what I'm going to grab onto. And the other stuff, I don't know what's going to happen with the other stuff, but I want to make sure to grab those things. It was conscious. It was, it was active.
We sort of didn't develop other parts of our personalities and natural personal things and put it into songs. So like stunted life development, but very advanced lyric songwriting.
So you're listening to our
development.
Arrested Development set to music.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's funny because we've been doing this most of our lives, making music, but you don't do that by accident. I mean, that's just kind of that's who we are. and we found it early, and work ethic was a big deal. And so, yes, we knew those things. That's why they're in the song, because we were writing. You have so many relationships. Like we had people around us early on. You're like, man, they don't get it. They don't get it. That person gets it in a big way. Like one person wants to come from a city, New York, LA that you've never been to, and say, we want to get behind you, and we believe you guys can. And the other person around you, 2 or 3 people that you've grown up with your whole life, is like blank stare. Like, what are you guys doing?
No,
but that's the story of many people.
Like I get that you
pursuing
wrote it.
Things.
I get that you wrote it, but what I meant was when I said you were aware. I mean, as she mentioned, you were kids. So for kids to be that self-aware, it's amazing to me.
Our parents were good about not treating us like kids.
It's kind of a parable, though. I mean, it's a parable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people understand that at some level early. Like, hard work is hard, and most of what you do, in school, people are like, "I'm in school. Most of this doesn't matter. Like, I won't use this in the rest of my life."
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because the song's about relationships and who's going to fall aside. We talk about you guys on the show all the time as the example of the only brothers that we could really think of beside who's the Nelson that in rock that actually are still friends. So your relationship
And are huge sellouts.
Yes, we are. We milk it for all it's worth.
But how do you
I
make
really
that
love
work?
this coffee. It's fantastic.
I mean, honestly, I think you just struggle through it, and you just keep looking for the next thing, and nobody's got it sort of perfectly figured out. I mean, I hate to compare it to a marriage, but it's sort of like that. I mean, you don't wake up every single day and say, you're making me so happy this very moment. But you have a deeper connection with somebody that you've invested in, and so it's more about there's something greater than.
See, I think it's because we've written about relationships in our songs, and we've written about it in the context of like, it might get hard, but it's okay. And so then we have to actually live it out. Otherwise, we're full of shit.
Well, I was going to say, I think the cool thing, honestly, all jokes aside, I think the cool thing is the fact that maybe it's because there's 3 of you, but rock and music in general is just littered with bands of brothers that fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's actually probably good that we're not a duo, because you're right, actually. I think probably either one of just the 2 of us next.
Well, they would
You only
definitely
have one
kill
other
each
person.
Isaac and I would kill each other. Yeah.
Well, we only have.
You're Switzerland. Congrats.
We only have a little bit over a minute left. So is David Campbell, who, Oscar winner, who was the director on this, he orchestrated this, the arranger. Oh, by the way, his son is also a HANSON. Beck HANSON.
Yes.
I know.
That guy.
But is he going to be on the tour, or do you have someone else? He arranged the
David
album.
arranged it. David he conducted in LA when we did the show there, which was amazing to have him on stage. And
to be at the Greek Theater with him conducting in that symphony.
Well, Jim Scott, an amazing engineer who mixed the whole record. He was sitting out in the audience. You're looking at it, Jim Scott in the audience, David on stage. You're like, these guys are icons, and we're working with them. It's awesome.
But most other cities we're visiting different conductor and then a whole other orchestra. So different group every day.
Well, where are you tonight?
Tonight we're at the Beacon Theater, and we do have a conductor that's traveled with us to several shows. He's been awesome, Noah Luna.
And I just got my tuxedo pressed. I'm good. Taylor, Zach, and Isaac, Hanson, thanks so much.
love
Always
you
good seeing you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day. We're out.
Bye.
This boy I used to know, he was always searching.